I'm not the most knowledgeable when it comes to the lore of DC stories, mostly because of the retcons, which don't always help, even if they provide a good reimagining or create room for more lore to be added. But Red Hood is one whose lore is pretty interesting to say the least, and it's one of the few things about DC I can actually talk about with some level of knowledge, or at least I can say about it and feel like I know what the fuck I'm talking about. He's not the best member of the Bat family in terms of his skill or capability, which is a little funny considering he's a pretty capable individual with versatility in both his equipment and skills, which is itself impressive considering how he started. But in some ways, I find him to be the relatable and intriguing member of the Gotham crime fighting clan. And, well, yeah, he's the most intriguing one, I guess. Initially, I think I just liked him because he was a gun user. I love guns and swords, so that naturally gave him some appeal in my eyes. And he seemed to be the equivalent of the Punisher in the DC world. But one of the things about him that I gradually came to like was how he seemed to be, to me, someone who was trying to find his place in the world. Maybe this is just me seeing something that's not there, or maybe it isn't. But I found that pretty relatable. Like, I've never known what to do with myself. I went through most of my 20s and teens not sure what my place in the world would be or what I should do with myself. And believe me, I tried. Nothing managed to hold my interest for long, except for history and writing eventually. So that definitely gives me something about Red Hood to sympathize with. Find a place in the world. The only difference is Red Hood had an idea of what he wished his place in the world to be, and he pursued it. He pursued it regardless of the grief it sometimes brings him, but it sometimes feels like he still struggles to maintain that place in the world. I sympathize with that sentiment and wish I could say I was like that. I admire that, his conviction to his beliefs, and the fact that despite what has happened to him with his rough upbringing and experiencing a traumatic event such as death and losing his mother twice, he still does strive to be he does strive for a better world. His motivations may not be the most altruistic, but it is something which I have found to be understandable. If not for those reasons, then there are other qualities and aspects of his character which I enjoy. I enjoy seeing his skills in action and the equipment which he has at his disposal. I find his friendships and relationships something I can get invested in. I find his dysfunctional relationship and dynamic with Batman to be intriguing as it can be immensely frustrating, though I suppose that can be chalked up to their good or bad writing, or both. I like the idea that his childhood influenced who he is to a degree. He's not like Nightwing. Dick is more or less came from a happy family until that was taken from him, but at least he had those happy memories to hold on to. Jason, he probably had very few happy memories to remember. His father was sent to jail, and until the events of Rebirth, he assumed that was, or was led to believe that he died there. He thought his mother died, and he could do nothing about it, likely instilling some thoughts that he had failed her. Then he had survived on the streets. He made some attempt not to let that control him, but then the Lazarus Pit happened, and it became hard to live with, especially since his worst traits were amplified. He returned to life, but changed. Back to some of the factors I mentioned before. First is his skills and equipment. Despite being a Robin for not long as the others, he took some of his training from Batman and added to it with other skills and toys to use, becoming a hyper-lethal vigilante. Next, we have his relationships. Jason often acts like a detached loner, but he more than often finds himself working with other people and forming bonds with them, sometimes intentionally and other times without his control. His friendship with Roy Harper is a little funny. He's like Roy Harper is basically like the Moonglum to Jason's Elric. One is more outgoing and friendly, while the other is a serious, antisocial loner, depending on who's running the story at the time. His relationship with Bizarro and Artemis was something similar to that of a family. I honestly wish that was something that was continued to be explored, as I found it immensely entertaining, especially in regard to the nature of the respective relationships with the failed Superman clone and the renegade Amazonian warrior. It was like a new family Jason was a part of. Like you grow in one family, then leave home to find another. That was my perception of Jason's time with Artemis and Bizarro, but unfortunately, that was eventually cleaved from him, figuratively. This is actually why I prefer mangas, because in a manga series that would have been explored further and may have even led to something. But that's another matter altogether. These relationships bring out different sides to Red Hood, and I like that. For each person or group, he shows different sides to us. Or probably not. That's probably me seeing some of this there, but oh well. So there is other aspects to Red Hood which seem more human and relatable than I find most comic book characters to be. Actually, no. A lot of them have aspects to them that are relatable. It's just Red Hood is the one that seems to resonate with me the most. Then there's his relationship with Batman, a very dysfunctional father-son relationship, which anyone can understand it on some level, depending on how things went with your own father. Like, it's very dysfunctional, but I like it. Lastly, I just enjoy how sympathetically flawed he can be. Jason Todd is an emotional person. At times, those emotions get the better of him, and he acts brashly. One example of this is when he learns the truth about his father. The Penguin framed him, and through reading his letters came to see his father in a different light. He ends up shooting Cobblepot in the head, and in turn causing Batman to come after him. That was a bad move on his part, but I can understand where he was coming from. I have done and said stupid things in the past in a moment because I was not thinking clearly, so I could sympathize with what Red Hood did and his reasoning. Was it stupid? Oh, absolutely. But it shows just how human he really is, and that is the end of the notes, so I'll be going off the cuff from here. Honestly, I just think I like Red Hood because he hasn't been around in terms of like comic book stuff for as long as these other characters, like Nightwing, Batman, Superman, like a lot of the other former Robins. They all have been around for a while, and they've all done lots of stuff and are probably more popular. Red Hood, I think, while popular, probably has a long way to go. And plus, we're seeing the beginning of his career, and unfortunately, we're seeing the beginning of his career in a time when the comic book industry wants to crash and burn like the Hindenburg. So, kind of puts me in a tough spot here. Hopefully nothing happens to that industry, but oh well. And yeah, it's just, Red Hood to me is a very tragic character who is often, he's a bit like Achilles. He is sometimes having to deal with his wrath and keep it in check. And, well, that and his ideals. His ideals can also be his undoing. But that's just my opinion. And these are mainly the main reasons why I like him as a character, is I find him interesting. I find him intriguing. I find him very engaging. And again, he resonates with me on some level. I also like the fact that basically he, before that one episode, that one comic run where they made him give up using guns, he was the black sheep of the family. Now, I was never the black sheep of my family, but I tend to sympathize with those type of characters and kind of identify with them. Don't know why. Couldn't tell you off the top of my head, but I find that interesting. And those are my main reasons. Like, I really like the dynamic he has with the people in his life. I really like the dynamic between him and Artemis, but yeah, that's just me. I liked how he was like a big brother to Bizarro. I like that dysfunction in his relationship between him and Batman, like especially in the Rebirth run, before it was unceremoniously ended because, I don't know, some shit happened with Scott Lobdell. But anyway, that's more or less the video on why I like Red Hood and why I enjoy his stories. If you have some thoughts you've run on this, let me know. Have a nice day, and pray for sanity.